Alright, people of the internet, today I'm going to tell you a story about my high school and some of the messed up things that's been going on. So, at my high school, we have to do a thing called a senior project, and in this project, we have to do a research paper. We have to do like 8 hours of pretty much volunteering or work towards our project, our research that we did. It kind of has to relate, and then we have to give a presentation, like a PowerPoint presentation, and it's got to be 5 to 7 minutes, and it'll be graded by judges like administrators, and you present it in front of the classroom with the kids in front of you, and then the administrators sit in the back. And I did my project on the progressive left and its flaws, and our project was supposed to be informational. Everything informational, no opinion, no biasness, nothing. So I did all the flaws, and I picked out the flaws where there's facts that disprove what the progressive left says. Excuse me. And my teacher and my classmates got hurt by the things I said, pretty much. Let me just tell you, my teacher is in charge of journalism. She's my English teacher, and journalism's supposed to be freedom of speech, freedom of expression, and everything, right? Well, she didn't take that into account so much with my project. So I'll just give you guys a little bit of a backstory about what I did. I got my little trusty notes. I took notes on everything that happened. That way I wouldn't forget it and get it distorted or anything. So, first thing I talked about in my presentation, because in our presentations you have to do a practice presentation before you can do the final one in front of the judges. And so I did my practice presentation in front of the class, and these are the points that I made. I said the wage gap that you hear about by the progressive left a lot, the thing that women make 77 cents on the dollar that every man makes, and I said this is not true. I explained why. I said this doesn't take into account different life choices, different levels of education, and so on. Simple things that most people know by now. At least I hope they would know. Then next thing, I talked about STEM field biasness. I said a lot of times you hear that women are underrepresented in STEM fields like math and science fields, and then I said they also say that they're discriminated against. I explained this is not true. According to a new study, women actually have a 2-to-1 advantage over men when going for the same position in a STEM field. And then I said, and then after they're accepted into the STEM field, they have the same rate of promotion, they have the same pay, their articles are published at the same rate, and so on. And that's the only thing in my project that she said she liked. And I'll tell you what she said at the end. But next thing I talked about Black Lives Matter. And Black Lives Matter is the one where I ran into the most trouble because my school is pretty ghetto. It's predominantly black, especially my class. And this is the one where it got some heads turning. People started giving me that, like, what the fuck look. And, yeah, it was fun. I said, a lot of times from Black Lives Matter, you hear that black people are unproportionately killed by police than any other person. I said this isn't true. When you're talking in a general point of view, white people are killed more. I said not just because there's more white people in the US, but proportion-wise too, percentage-wise. And this is where I got called a racist. One of the kids in the side of the classroom called me a racist, and I just kind of laughed at him. And because I know I'm not a racist, they've got no proof that I'm a racist, so why do I need to let it bother me, right? I said the reason why cops racial profile a lot of times in certain areas is because of the high crime from African Americans. And I said from 1980 to 2008, black people committed 52.5% of murders, despite only making up 13% of the population. And this is where they started like kind of rustling around. A lot of people got really like tense. they started getting uncomfortable. Like, even the white people were getting uncomfortable. Like, the white girls that had black boyfriends or whatever, they started, like, getting all tense and stuff. And it felt good, you know, because these are things that these kids grow up believing, and I'm just shattering them one by one. Next thing I talked about was Syrian refugees and Muslim immigration. I said the reason why a lot of Americans are afraid to bring in Syrian refugees or Muslim immigrants is because of the harm they have done in other countries. I said in Sweden, since becoming a multicultural society in the 80s, rape statistics have went up 1,472%. 77% of the attackers were Muslim. I said, and these Muslims are not held accountable. They say, oh, she wanted to sleep with 7 of us at once or whatever. And courts are too afraid to prosecute them because they fear that they will be labeled Islamophobic or whatever. I said, this isn't the only place that Muslim immigration has been harmful. I said places like the UK. There are places in the UK where people can't walk, police can't patrol, because it's become so radicalized by radical Islam. Then I said, in Germany on New Year's Eve, there was that big rape epidemic where a bunch of Syrian refugees went out and raped a bunch of girls. And I said, these Muslims harm any place they go. This is why Americans are afraid to bring them in. Next thing I talked about was college rape statistics. And I thought this would be the most controversial one, but it wasn't actually. I said a lot of times you hear that 1 in 5 women have been raped on a college campus or sexually assaulted or whatever. I said this isn't true. I explained where this twisted statistic came from by that very small department of the DOJ a while ago, and they even said don't take it seriously pretty much. It's not to be taken seriously, but it was still taken as the gospel. It was taken as God's word or like law, and people just ran with it. And I explained everything about it that was wrong. And for my product, because you have to, like I said, the volunteer part, I said I started volunteering for a congressional candidate. I help with campaigning, advertising, and I help think of new policy. They accept anything I have to say about policy, you know. If I have something I want to say, I say it, and they really take it into account. And even though with my project I gave all facts and statistics, everything I said backed up by the Department of Justice, the DOJ, or not the same thing, or the FBI, and my teacher at the end went off on me for close to 30 minutes. That's a third of our classroom time on me, because we only have an hour and a half classroom time. And she was upset, to say the least. Let's see. She told me my entire project was biased. She made a mention about me believing in conspiracy theories by bringing up facts that were controversial. Every point I made, again, backed up by facts. These were not opinions, these were facts. The best part, well, one of the best parts, she tried to kind of cancel out anything I said by telling me I was coming from a white male point of view. And that kid that called me racist, she didn't say anything to him. She just kind of let him say it. So I come from a white male point of view, and I'm a racist. These are already great things about myself that I didn't know. Oh man. And she made a very personal attack because honestly I have some pretty intense narcissistic tendencies. I have the lack of empathy or compassion, and everything else, and it makes it really difficult to keep a relationship and stuff. Well, at the end, she knows about this, and she specifically said this entire project lacked compassion and empathy. And she did not say it once, she said it 3 times. And the next day, class starts, and in the middle of class, I have to go to the bathroom. And I ask her, she's like, yeah, sure. And I go to the bathroom, then I come back. You know, normal stuff. At the end, she asked me to stay after class with her so we could talk about what happened. And after class, I was late for my next class because of this. She wrote me a note and stuff, but she came and talked to me and told me she would not allow me to present my project again the way it was because what I was doing was illegal. She said I was trying to start a riot. I didn't know bringing up facts meant you were trying to start a riot, and if I did start a riot, it would be against myself because I come from a predominantly black school. So that wouldn't make sense, you know. If I'm a racist, they would all be against me. Let's see. Oh, she told me that while I was up there giving my presentation, I sounded like a white supremacist. My body language, the way I was talking, I sounded like a supremacist. There's another thing I didn't know about myself. Oh man, I'm just on a roll. She told me that she herself was offended by the wage gap part because I was trying to invalidate her experiences as a woman when she had to work 2-3 jobs or whatever. She said that those men, she made sure she said men, behind desks, crunching numbers, don't know the struggle she goes through. You know, it's not my fault that she chose a low-paying career. That's not my fault. These are facts. Don't take it out on me because I said facts. And a lot of people don't really know what generalizing is. When you talk about facts, you're generalizing. Every anecdotal experience you try to bring up won't cancel out facts, the generalizations, the statistics, right? She went back and forth with me for a while, like 15 minutes out of the 20 minutes we talked. And at the end, she was like, you know what? It feels like I'm just talking to a wall. I was like, okay. I was kind of frustrated with the whole situation, so I just started agreeing with her on things, you know, just to end the conversation. She said that she never saw my real narcissism until I gave my presentation. She repeated again that my project was one-sided and it lacked compassion. I thought of Ben Shapiro, and one of my favorite quotes I've ever heard. He said, facts don't care about your feelings. And I said that to her. She was saying I offended too many people and this and that, you know, feelings or whatever. I said, facts don't care about your feelings. I said, I don't believe facts care about your feelings. Let's see. She told me she's going to keep order in her classroom at all costs. And she herself was going to make changes to the presentation that she sees fit. And you know how I said earlier I went to the bathroom? Well, she told me while I was in the bathroom, a bunch of kids raised their hands to go to the bathroom at the same time, and she would not let any of them go for fear of me getting harmed. You know, I don't care if I get harmed for telling facts against the progressive left. That kind of just proves my point, right? And then she told me that word gets around fast in a small town like ours. And if I wanted to hate on our town, I should have saved it until I was somewhere else. Oh, email time. After I gave my presentation that evening, she sent me an email. In this email, she said, I wrote it all down. I can give a screenshot of the email if anybody actually wants to see. I'd love for this video to get passed around, just to kind of shed light on the horrible things that the progressive left does. It's even in high schools now. I thought it was just in colleges with their safe spaces or whatever, but no, it's in high schools too. This is what the email said. It said, Andrew, I hated to tear you a new one in front of the class, but I am quite worried about you, especially now. I know you are trying to dispel some of the myths, but your fervor has a time and a place. You must always be aware of your audience. She said, I now fear that there will be repercussions from some of your classmates and or others. Please watch your back. Now, whenever I showed somebody this email or told my parents, they said that sounds like a threat. I said, yeah, it kind of does, but she could be trying to look out for my well-being. She's been here longer than me. She knows the way people react to things like this. Maybe she's trying to look out for me. Next part of the email. She said, please add more about your product, which is the thing about the congressional candidate I talked about, and reduce some of the stats that may cause you grief for the remainder of the year. There is always more than one side to a story. Now, I know there's always more than one side to a story, but this is an informational project. I gave cold hard facts and statistics. I said this to her. She said, is there really anything such as facts? I said, yeah, there is facts. If I punch this desk in front of me, that is a fact, because you saw me punch that desk. I'm the one that punched the desk. That's a fact. And she said, statistics can always be warped to someone else's perception. I said, I know they can be interpreted differently. CNN does it all the time. So that's why I looked at the statistics myself and the way I saw them. And the way I didn't even see them in a biased way. I just gave exactly what the statistics say. I didn't say, black people are so much more criminal than any other person. No, I didn't say that. All I said is what the statistics said. Then she said, please try to build compassion into your repertoire. Fake it till you make it. And this is how she ends it. Hugs, Miss... I'm not going to tell you her name, privacy reasons. And so that's her email. It's a pretty messed up email, right? Next day rolls around. Everybody's a little tense because of what I said. I got a few people that came up to me and said, Andrew, I really liked your project. I said, thank you. But I still had to make a lot of changes to it because I was over time. I was over by like 3 minutes. So I had to cut a lot of stuff. And when I was going through cutting things, I had to cut some of the major things. I cut the wage gap. I cut college rape statistics. I cut Syrian refugees. Actually, I think I did keep Syrian refugees. I know I cut 2 of those. I don't know. If anybody actually wants me to release the actual PowerPoint, I will. And I'll release it so everybody can see for themselves. Now, all the facts themselves aren't directly in the PowerPoint because I have memorized most of them. And so I just said them from the top of my head because I didn't want to cluster my slides with points. So I just kind of pinpointed the main things I wanted to talk about. I didn't even really look at the PowerPoint. I just looked at the title of the slide and I was like, oh yeah, this is what I got to talk about. Well, a week goes by and it's my time to present for the real thing. My time to present in front of my class and the administrators. And I was the last one to go because they separate us by days. They have a couple students go on one day, more on another. And it was on Monday. And I was the last one to go. And when I was about ready to go, she said, Andrew, did you make changes to your project? I said, yes, I did. And she said, oh, okay. So she got on her computer, did her little typing thing, looked at it, and then she went over and talked to the judges, the administrators. Actually, they weren't administrators, they were teachers because the administrators weren't there yet, but they were still judges. And then she starts closing up her computer, disconnecting the overhead, and I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, why is she disconnecting it? I still have to present. She gives the computer with the cart that held all the things to the judges, and they say, Andrew, come on. I said, oh, okay. And I was smiling so big because I already knew what they were going to do. They take me to an empty classroom, hook up the computer, and instead of presenting in front of the class like everybody else did, I presented my project alone in front of those two judges by myself. They were afraid that it would be too controversial and it would pretty much offend too many people, and the situation would get worse than it already was. So I presented my project alone, and at the end, one of the teachers said, wow, Andrew, you did a good job. I said, thank you. In my head, I was thinking, I know I did a good job. Otherwise, you guys wouldn't be doing this. So I go to my class, everything ends, and I'm thinking, thank God this is almost over. This is just so much stress, Well, then the rumors start going around the school that I am a racist, I'm a sexist, and I'm going to be stabbed. It's not just the high school that this goes around. It's going around the middle school too. I knew it started going around the middle school because at my dojo, I have middle schoolers, and those middle schoolers told me that they already know about it. And I said, oh wow. And I think it's kind of funny that people were calling me racist because my dojo, my sensei is African American, and every one of my fellow people in the dojo are African American also. So I have to have respect for them, and I do respect them. If I was racist, I wouldn't respect them. But that's besides the point. Next day rolls around. I already knew I was going to be called a racist, maybe sexist. I was prepared for that. But the stabbing part, I was a little worried. I'm used to empty threats out of the things I've been through in the past. But I was like, just to be sure, just to be safe, I should go and talk to somebody about it. I go and talk to a counselor, and they send me to the vice principal, who's an administrator. Me and the vice principal talk. The counselor was in the room too. We talked for like 15 minutes. He pretty much told me, you should have expected this, doing what you did in your project. I saw the project, because apparently my teacher had showed him what I did. And he pretty much told me that I should have expected these threats. And the way he was coming across, it was like, you deserve this. Oh, I think I should mention my teacher that went off on me. She's white. She's a white woman. This principal, this vice principal, white. I don't know if they're worried that they're going to get in trouble or that they're going to be labeled racist for being okay with what I did. But I know it's kind of ridiculous that they think it's my fault, that I deserve to be stabbed or I deserve these threats. And then he said, we don't know exactly where the rumors are coming from about you being stabbed, so there's nothing we can do. And I was like, yeah, okay, that makes sense. They can't pinpoint, so at least I brought it to their attention. And he said, I will let other administrators know what's going on so they can keep an eye out. And I said, thank you. Well, that ends. And so I'm kind of going through the day, and the rumors have just been getting worse. My teacher pulled me aside and told me, Andrew, the reason why I'm so hard on you with this project is because it may affect you in the future. She told me that with what I did, it could follow me into my next career, and it may affect my next career. if my next career fires me because of a project I did in high school, I don't want to work at that place anyways. So I'm trying to get my political science degree. I want to go to Barton College in Wilson, North Carolina. I've already been accepted. College is really expensive though. It's like $38,000 a year, and I've barely made a dent in it through scholarships. And I just applied for my FAFSA. But I'm going to major in political science and probably minor in communications. That seems like a really solid duo for a degree. Or I can major in communications and minor in poli-sci. I haven't decided yet. I'm kind of on the fritz of what I want to do. But that's where I'm at right now. And, I think it's ridiculous that I can't express facts, all statistics and facts, without being ridiculed by my fellow classmates. I was kind of expecting it because they're kind of immature. But the teacher, too. And it's not even just this one teacher and this vice principal. Other teachers are talking about it with their students, saying how some student did a graduation project that was extremely messed up. And they're just perpetuating rumors even more. Because I've got friends who have these teachers and they come and they talk to me and say, Andrew, this is what my teacher said about you. So yeah, that's all I have to say. I would love for this video to get, kind of sent around. I'm going to tweet it to Milo Yiannopoulos and Ben Shapiro, Lauren Southern, Gavin McKinnison, and all of them. Because they're part of my project. I spent tens of hours listening to them, panels by them, videos or whatever, just to make sure that I was listening to people that knew what they were talking about, because these are people that know what they're talking about. So I spent well over 40 hours on my project, and they're essentially trying to shut me down. Maybe they're trying to look out for my well-being, maybe not. Maybe they're just trying to cover their own backs. I don't know. But I think it's ridiculous when this type of thing happens in a public high school. Thank you guys. I hope you guys can get this around.